Welcome back to the 74th episode of What the Wealth. I'm your host, Jonathan Bednar, certified financial planner. Today, we're going to talk about the Secure Act. I'm not going to dive into the whole thing. There's a lot of moving parts with this. We're going to dive into more of that on a future podcast episode. But I want to give retired clients and clients that are close to retirement the information that pertains to the RMD, required minimum distribution. Now, if you remember from prior episodes, the RMD is a required distribution that the government makes you take out of retirement accounts once you reach 72. They do this because money in these retirement accounts, IRAs, 401ks, those sort of tax deferred accounts, has never been taxed. And now the IRS wants some portion of their tax revenue. Once that law was put in place, it was actually originally at 70.5. That made it really hard, like a half, like, what do you do with that? So ultimately, a couple of years ago, the IRS and the federal government changed that rule to 72 years old when you have to begin that. But with the Secure Act 2.0, this recently passed, that now moves to age 73, and it will ratchet up to age 75. So here's what you need to know. If you were born between 1951 and 1959, your RMD begins when you turn age 73. So if you were born between 1951 and 1959, instead of having to take an RMD at age 72, you will now have your RMD must be taken at age 73. That's great. That's one additional year that you don't have to take the distribution if you don't want it. But it also allows you to do an extra year to do additional planning strategies. So that's qualified charitable distributions if you want to utilize those. That gives you extra time to start converting your money from your pre-tax and putting the money into a Roth so that you can take advantage of the Roth tax benefits, namely tax-free growth. So by doing this, you just allow yourself a little bit extra time to get one more year of some additional planning strategies to utilize that might fit your personal situation. I have a couple of clients that I'm working with that this is going to be huge just to get some of those additional Roth conversions done before they're required to take out these RMDs from their account. Now, what happens if you're born after 1959? Those of you that are born in 1960 or later, your RMD begins when you turn 75. So for those that are born 1960 and later, you now have an additional 3 years compared to the prior year of age 72. Now you got to go at 75 to start taking these distributions. This is good news. Again, it allows for additional planning. It allows to be more nimble, take the money when you want to take it versus being forced to take it. Now, you can always take any of this money whenever you want after age 59.5 with no penalty. You're going to pay ordinary income tax on all of it and state income tax if that money applies. But as long as you take it after 59.5, there is no penalty. So we're not talking about not having access to the money. You're always going to have access to the money. We're just talking about when the IRS or when the government's going to start requiring you to withdraw some of those funds. So again, the new rule for those that are born 1951 through 1959, you now take the RMD at age 73. For anyone born after 1960, you will take that RMD when you are 75 years old. What happens if you are already taking your RMD? If you are already taking RMDs or required minimum distributions, you will continue to take those RMDs. So if you're already 72 taking these distributions, You cannot delay that into future years. You have to continue to take those RMDs as scheduled, as already implemented. So this is really big news. This is breaking news that is just, again, passed, recently within the last 30 days or so. You're going to see lots of changes. We're going to, again, dive into more of these changes over the coming weeks. But for now, I wanted to make sure that I got you what I think might be one of the most important pieces of this legislation that's going to impact, retirees. And this doesn't impact just the people that are, 70, 71, 72. Obviously, that's going to have the most impact on those that are retiring soonest as they approach that timeline. But this is going to have an effect on everybody. For those that are, 5 and 10 years out from retirement, then this gives us a little bit extra runway to do some financial planning for your personal situation. And then even for people that are in their, 40s and 30s and late 20s that are just, starting their career or only, a decade or so into their career, that are still accumulating assets. Again, this may not impact you now, but it does impact your parents, your grandparents, other loved ones, friends. And it's important that they know and understand this. So if you have those sort of people in your lives, you might just want to make sure that they understand these new rules. I bring this up because a lot of us younger people are involved in our parents' finances. And so helping them navigate some of these changes can be confusing. The Secure 2.0 has lots and lots of changes. It's not just one or two things that were done. There's changes to 401ks. There's changes to other retirement benefits. There's changes to how you can access money. Again, we're going to go into more of these in the future, but I did want to touch on these RMDs because they're a big part of what we do at Paradigm Wealth Partners. If you have questions specifically about RMDs, how the Secure 2.0 Act is going to affect you, we are happy to help you answer those questions. You can reach out to us and we can have a conversation one-on-one. You can go to paradigmwealthpartners.com. You can email me at jonathan@whatthewealth.com or jonathan@paradigmwp.com. And I'm happy to kind of walk you through and talk through, what does this change specifically mean for you? And what additional planning can we do around these changes to really kind of fortify and continue to build out your financial plan. As always, be confident in your retirement, create the life you love. Have a wonderful weekend.